Okay, good afternoon. This is Brian with Netpix. Thanks for being with us today for our presentation, Options Made Easy. And I'll be joined here in a few minutes from now by Mike Rixey. He is our resident options expert here at Netpix, and he's going to be taking us through the presentation today. I see a lot of people coming in, so I want to give you just a few minutes to get settled in, make sure your connection is good before we officially begin. As always with our presentations today, we will be taking questions throughout. So if you have a question at any point in the presentation today, don't hesitate to put that into the question box. We're going to be talking again about options and how you can use options in your own personal trading. It's a great way to diversify your trading no matter what kind of a trader you are. I'm going to ask that question in a few minutes. What kind of trader you are, whether you trade futures, stocks, Forex. Options are again, a great way to diversify and talk about ease of trading when it comes to stress. You can put these trades on and walk away and let them do what they're going to do, and you don't have to sit there and fret over each tick of the chart. So that's some of the nice things about options. We kind of feel like options really are the undiscovered market here at Netpix. Not too many traders take advantage of them, and it really is a great way to trade. Mike's going to show you some results in a little bit, and it's a different mindset in the results that you can get from options, and he's going to go over all that in detail and some of his current trading too, and how that's been performing. So again, for those arriving late, this is Brian Short with Netpix, and I'm going to be joined here in a moment by Mike Rixey, our resident options expert. And Mike, if you can flip to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about who Netpix is. We have been around quite a while here on the internet. I am a partner with Mark and have been involved for probably about 10 years with Mark, but he started the business back in 1996. And so we've been around a long time on the internet, and we have successfully trained thousands of traders from around the world. A lot of times we'll ask in the survey question where you're coming from in the world. We didn't do that today, but it's always interesting. We cater to the traders all over Australia, the Eurozone, the Asia area, and Canada. So we are real traders. Each of us trade live in the market. I can tell you Mike and I were conferring back and forth on some of our trading this morning. We kind of typically do that in the morning just to get, bounce ideas off of each other. And so that's the thing I think that sets Netpix apart from many of the other services and education companies that are out there. We are live in the markets each and every day. And because of that, we can relate to you as traders and, share our experience and hopefully impart some of that expertise that we have live and in the markets. We know how to succeed and what causes failure when it comes to trading. We've been there before. We've gone through the same emotions that you're going to go through as a trader and we've made the same mistakes that you're going to potentially make or have made. And I think as a trading community, when it comes to that, any advice you can get from other traders is very beneficial. It will hopefully save you from making those same mistakes. So a little bit of history about Netpix and why you should listen to us. And with that, I'm going to introduce Mike, and he's going to take us through the bulk of today's presentation on options. And as I said, Mike is our resident options expert. Anytime I have a question on options, trading specifically, or a specific stock that I might be looking at, I always bounce those ideas off of him first. He has extensive knowledge in options trading. And so with that, I'm going to let him give a little bit of a bio on himself. And at this point, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Mike. So take it away.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Brian. And thank you all for joining us today. We have a very exciting presentation for you. We're going to be talking about a topic that's really important to me. I'm very passionate about trading options. To be honest with you, options it's really changed my life over the past 10 years. And some of you might be saying, well, gosh, that sounds a little dramatic, but it really has changed what I've been able to do both personally and professionally. It's allowed me to do things that I never thought were possible. So what I want to do today is talk briefly about why I enjoy trading options so much. Okay, and I want to start out by giving a little bit of background info on myself. The reason I want to do this is I want to point out that it does not take a rocket scientist to trade options. Okay, it doesn't take a PhD. Um, I'm a normal retail trader with some extensive experience with trading options, but you can do this regardless of your level of experience, regardless of your education, regardless of your account size, as you'll see here in a little bit. So I got my start in trading back. I'm going on 10 years now. It's kind of a scary thought to think that I've been at it that long, but I'm approaching my 10-year anniversary. I actually started back in college. I was a finance major. I was taking a business class. I was required to do a stock market project. And during that project, I was really surprised at some of the things that I found. And one of the big issues that I found was that the retail trader was they were very handcuffed with the types of trades that they could put on due to things like their account size. You know, if we wanted to trade a stock like Apple as a retail trader, you needed to have quite a bit of capital to do so. And at that time, I was a poor college student, didn't have a lot of money to work with. So here I was researching stocks, tracking them throughout the whole semester, typing up these long-winded reports on why I was trading these products, and I couldn't do anything with them myself. Okay, I didn't have enough money to get into a position on Apple. So I was really motivated at the time to find a product that I was able to get involved with myself. And that's when I stumbled across the options markets. And what really attracted me to them was I saw that, okay, now I can take place in trades on these high-priced stocks with a very manageable account size. Okay, with very little capital. I can still control 100 shares of Apple stock for as little as $1,000. And that's extremely powerful for a retail trader. So I got started initially, and I started trading around earnings releases. That was my main strategy. The problem with that is trading around earnings, it really is just trading off of a hunch. Okay, you have no odds in your favor. There's no odds there. It's basically a 50-50 flip of the coin. Okay, just because a stock goes in your direction, it goes in the direction that you think it's going to go, and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make profits. And I was very naive to a lot of the factors that work against you when you're trading around earnings releases. So unfortunately, I saw some early success with this strategy. And the reason I say unfortunately is it really put me in a bad mindset. I really thought that, hey, I can do this long term. I can make some easy money this way. And it wasn't the case. As I kept going forward, I kept taking trades around earnings, and I ended up giving a lot of the profits back. So there I was, just stuck spinning my wheels. I had a 50-50 win rate, and I wasn't making any money. And that was extremely frustrating for me. Really, two things happened over the next couple of years that really changed my approach to trading. And the first being I had the chance to go down to the floor of the Chicago Board Options Exchange. I got a chance to watch how a professional trader works. I got to see how they think about their positions. And it was really eye-opening for me because I saw that the professional trader really thinks completely opposite of me as a retail trader. They know exactly where they're getting in, where they're getting out, what adjustments need to be made before they even get into a trade. So there I was, just trading off of a hunch, wondering why I couldn't make money, trading around earnings releases. And then the light bulb started to click on in my head where, okay, I need to have a system in place. So I left that experience going home, and I spent literally hours trying to find a system that I could trade with confidence that gave me a very defined edge in the markets. And that's when I found the Netpix family of products. And the reason I really appreciate the Netpix products is that when you attend a sales webinar or an educational webinar, you're never going to hear anybody guarantee riches quickly in the market. You're never going to hear about traders talking about how you're going to make $1 million in 2 months. Okay, it's just not the case. What Netpix does is they try to design systems that are going to give you consistent profits over time. And that's what I really appreciated. That's what I was looking for. So I started to use their products, which at the time they were really designed for the futures and Forex markets, the active day trader. So I took their systems and I designed them. I didn't totally redo them, but what I did is I used them on the stock and options markets. I started to use some of the options strategies that I was learning about, and I was applying those strategies to the systems that Netpix was creating. The Netpix systems they were telling me exactly where to get in and where to get out, and I was just using the option strategies. And I found some really nice success with that, and I've been doing it ever since. I actually started working for Netpix, gosh, probably 5-6 years ago now. And it was a great opportunity for me because I get to work with very experienced traders. I get to learn a lot from the interaction with traders. I don't need to work for Netpix. I make a majority of my income from my full-time trading. But let's face it, do I want to be sitting in front of a computer screen by myself the rest of my life? No, I'd like to have that interaction with other traders. So it's been a great experience for me. I've worked with a lot of great people. I've learned a lot of great things from the customers, and that's a great thing for a trader to have access to. Now, I have dabbled in other markets here over the past couple of years. In fact, I do day trade the crude oil and the Russell futures markets, and that has been a great experience for me because it's given me a lot of diversification. Now I'm swing trading options, I'm day trading futures, and what I've found in my own trading is that it's really helped smooth out my equity curve over time. When you lock into one market in one time frame, well, sure, as long as that market's moving, as long as it's on a winning streak, yes, you're going to make money. But what happens when the market slows down? And that's what really got me frustrated is when I was locked in on one or two markets, that's where I got frustrated when those markets slowed down. So once I started to mix up the markets and the time frames that I traded, that's where I started to see better overall success. It was easier for me to handle emotionally. I didn't hit those drawdowns like I did when I was just trading one market. So that's what we're going to talk about here today, trying to get some diversification in your trading. I was really happy to see that a good number of you are trading options currently. So a lot of you are seeing the same type of success that I am, and that really makes me happy. I really have seen that number grow over the past year or so, and I really think that's going to continue as a trend here into the end of the year and into 2013. So while I have dabbled in other markets, why do I always come back to options? Why are options a big part of what I do? Well, I could just go on and on with reasons why I love trading options. I'm just going to touch on a few of the big ones here today. Number one is the leverage. Now, I fully realize that futures and Forex offer incredible leverage as well. But I prefer the options markets because options allow us to track high-priced stocks with very little capital. Okay, I mentioned it earlier. We can trade stocks like Apple, like Google, at a fraction of the cost. No longer are we limited as a retail trader to trade only certain products because they're cheap. Now we can trade the high flyers. We can trade the products that really move because of that leverage, and that's very powerful. Next, it's time. For me personally, I'm a very busy guy. I have a lot of commitments, both work-related and personal, on the personal side of things. I don't have a lot of time to sit in front of the screen every day and watch every tick. I don't have a desire to do that. Options are a great way to stay involved in the market with very little time commitment. In fact, as I do this webinar here, I'm looking at one of my other computer screens and I've got 5 positions on the table right now. That, you know what, I don't need to watch every tick. Sure, I'm going to head in this afternoon and check to see how they're doing, but I can just let them work. Let them work over a period of days, and if we hit targets, great. If we hit stops, not a problem. I know that over time, my system puts the edge in my favor. Okay, so it's a great way to trade for those of you that might have a full-time job, you might have family commitments, you might be retired and don't have any desire to sit in front of a computer screen all day. That's completely understandable. Options are a way to stay involved in the markets without feeling tied down to your desk each and every day. I know that when I can't day trade, when I'm busy with other business commitments that I have, if I can't day trade that day, I feel like I missed out, and I hate that feeling. But it's also good to know that, hey, I can trade the options markets. I can be involved in the markets even when I'm not in front of my desk, and that's why I love to trade these markets. Now, just because we're not spending a lot of time in front of the desk does not mean we're not going to see powerful returns. Like, due to the leverage that we just got done talking about, we're able to book returns of 50, 100%, even upwards of greater than 100%. Okay, and we are able to do this in a matter of days. So they're extremely powerful. So when you factor in the amount of time that you're spending trading these markets, along with the types of returns that you're seeing, it's just a very powerful combination. Next, the ability to play bear markets. Now, I realize that you can sell a futures contract. You can short a currency. You can short a stock. But the problem with shorting a stock, for example, is as a retail trader, it's going to tie up an extreme amount of your capital. Okay, if you were to go in and buy a put option instead, it's just a much more efficient way of playing the downside. And I personally love playing the downside. Yes, for the sake of the world economy, we want markets to go up. But I hate to say it, I mean, I enjoy it when markets go down more because people panic on the way down. I see my home run trades. I see more home run trades when the market moves down as opposed to when it goes up. So by trading options, it gives us the way to play both directions, and it gives us a way to do so in a much more efficient way. And just to build on that, the flexibility that options offer really are it's second to none. There's no other product out there that is going to benefit from bull markets, from bear markets, and then also from sideways moving markets. There's definitely strategies out there that really thrive in sideways moving markets. That's extremely powerful to have that tool in your arsenal as a trader. We all know what happened this summer. Summertime price action was extremely slow this year. But there's definitely strategies that just really benefit well from that type of price action. So I could go on and on with different reasons. Just wanted to touch on a lot of the major ones here today. Hopefully that kind of gives you a glimpse of why I love these markets so much. So next, why use a signal service? We're here to talk about the Options Live Advisory Service here today. Why a signal service? There's literally hundreds of different advisory services out there. Why are people attracted to these? Well, number one, you let us do the heavy lifting for you. I can tell you I've literally spent hundreds of hours over the past 6 months or so designing trade plans with the Netpix systems that put the odds in my favor. Okay, I've had a lot of late nights trying to build systems that put the odds in my favor, and that's something that you can take and piggyback off of. Okay, if you're newer to options, you know that they can be pretty complex initially. You could read book after book to learn the terminology, to learn the different strategies. And it's really, you're just scratching the surface at this point. Well, you can take advantage of my over 10 years experience with the markets to start to experience the profits that I have seen in my own trading. All you'll need to do, sit back and wait for our calls and take action when we tell you. Gone are the days of taking 6 months to learn a complicated system with 20 different indicators. You don't have to worry about that any longer. I'm going to do all that work for you. Next, it's an easy way to diversify. Okay, from our poll earlier at the beginning of the webinar, it sounds like a lot of you are involved in the markets right now. You're actively trading. You might have a system in place that you're seeing great profits. You might be successfully trading the futures or the Forex markets, and that's great. I applaud you for that. Keep it going. But what I want to challenge you to do is branch out a little bit. If you're locked in on one system, one market, one time frame, diversify a little bit. I think you're going to be surprised at what you see. And I found a great experience for me was when I started to diversify and I saw that consistent growth over time. That's extremely powerful. Now, I mentioned that there are literally hundreds of services out there. Why use this one? What makes this one different? Well, number one, I'm taking these trades live with my own funds each and every day. Okay, you can't say that about many of the systems out there. A lot of advisory services, the head trader is there just to sell the system and support the system. That's their main goal. Well, I want to do those, but I also want to take these trades myself. I make most of my income from my trading. Okay, so I'm definitely committed to putting in the hard work to make sure the odds are in our favor, to make sure we are experiencing profits over time. And I'm using well-researched strategies. I'm not trading based off of a hunch. I'm not trading off of what I think the market's going to do. I can show you exactly why I'm making a trade decision based on the charts. So with all that being said, that's why we're here to release the advisory service today. Now, this service, it's really geared towards that busy trader. Might be tied up with other markets. You might be tied up with another job. It's designed to give you the ability to diversify your holdings with very little time commitment. We're going to be giving you the most powerful option signals. We're going to deliver those to you through email, through Twitter, through text, however you decide to have them delivered, without you having to do any of the research. Okay, I'm doing that each and every day. I'm going to give you all the details that you'll need to know. All you're going to have to do is sit there and wait for our signals. And we're also going to give you a variety of different tools that you can use in order to execute the calls that we're going to make. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. I'm also going to show you some charts so you can see exactly what I'm looking at on the charts. What am I basing my trade decisions off of? I know that's extremely important. So we'll definitely take a look at the charts here in just a second. So what types of trades are we looking to take? I know a lot of you might be saying, okay, I've heard this talk before. Why is your service different? What are you looking to do? Well, number one, we're looking to take options trades on stocks and ETFs. I have a very broad list of names that I've narrowed down to a very select universe of stocks that we're going to trade as part of the advisory service. I've simplified things for you. I'm only trading the names that have liquid options that have very high winning percentages, which I'll show you here in just a second. But I also wanted to throw some ETFs in the mix because I just think they're great ways to get exposure to different markets or different sectors. We have index ETFs, we have commodity ETFs, we have market ETFs. We just have a great mix of names that we'll be trading as part of this service. We're targeting 50 to 100% returns. Okay, that's my sweet spot. Now, we will have the occasional home run trade, which is well over 100%. It's not going to happen every time. I'll show you some examples of some home run trades here in a moment, with also some partial profits where we're still getting those 50% returns in just a matter of days, and those are extremely powerful. Now, on the flip side, we're not going to win every time. We do have losing trades mixed in here, just like anything else. We're typically risking less than 50% of the premium that we paid for the option. Now, the reason we're able to do this is the system that I'm using is amazing at adjusting quickly to changes in market conditions. Much better than any other system that I've ever used. So if we're in a long trade, price action starts to stall out, the system is designed to react quickly. So I'm able to reduce risk, to lock in profit at times, to lock in a partial loser. And that's why it's so powerful, because we can keep our reward to risk ratio at a very desirable level. Now, the strategies, we're going to be buying straight calls and puts. In a lot of cases, we're also going to be trading vertical spreads. For those of you that aren't familiar with vertical spreads, don't worry about it. I will walk you through all the details of how to trade them. I'll tell you exactly how to place the order. It's not an issue. You don't have to understand the ins and outs of those products. But the reason why I like trading vertical spreads is I realize that we have a lot of retail traders with smaller account sizes. And when we start to trade a product like Apple, which is a $700 stock, the options can be kind of pricey. So by using the vertical spreads, we're able to lower our cost basis and still take part in these trades. Now, holding time, my sweet spot is 1 day to 2 weeks. Okay, so pretty quick trades here. Now, this will change depending on the time of year. For example, during the summer months, what I have found this year is that my trades typically took twice as long as they did historically. Okay, so if I found a trade that typically took 3 to 5 days, it's typically taken 6 to 10 days. So all in all, it's still a pretty quick trade, even though the market's moving very slow. Okay, total cost, anywhere from $1 to $10 per contract. Now, I know that's a pretty wide range, but the range of products that we're looking at some very high-priced stocks like Apple, and then we're looking at some lower-priced stocks as well. So we have a very good mix of products in there. So for a one contract trader, total cost is going to be anywhere from $100 on out to $1,000. There might be certain cases where we might purchase some pricier options on Apple or Priceline. If we purchase some in-the-money options, that will drive up the cost a little bit, but we're going to try to keep it under $1,000 if at all possible. Number of trades on average 10 per month. Now, with this being said, I'm not going to guarantee a certain number of trades every month. Reason being, I don't want to be locked in to forcing trades just based on a number that I gave you guys. There might be months where it's extremely slow. We might take 6 or 7 trades on the month. That's pretty rare, but it might happen. In most cases, we're going to be pretty active, and you'll see that with some results here in just a second. In most cases, we're going to take multiple trades every week, so it's going to be a very active service. There's going to be no shortage of setups. The systems being used, we'll take a look at the charts here in a second. I am using some of the Netpix custom trading systems. And then the trades held at one time. Ideally, I want to be in less than 5. Now, there might be certain situations when the market starts to trend that we might get into a few additional trades. We might be in 6 or 7 trades, but I want to keep this simple. I don't want to get into a position where we're in 20 different trades, where you seem overwhelmed because you don't know how to manage them. I want to keep this simple for everybody. So my goal is to keep it right around 5 open positions at any one time. So that's what the systems is going to look like here at this point. This is an example of a sample trade alert. Okay, it might look a little different when it gets to you, but this is the type of information that you're going to get. You're going to get an exact timestamp. You're going to get exact instructions on what we're doing, whether we're buying or selling, whether we're opening or closing. We're going to give you the exact details on the specific option that we're trading and at what price we're looking to get filled at. We'll give you your exact targets and your stops. We're going to deliver these in a number of different ways. I already mentioned this earlier. We'll deliver them through email, through text, through Twitter. There's a number of different ways that you can receive them. And then we've also created an owner's website where you can log in and get further detail at the end of the day for why I'm taking a setup, where we're anticipating the stock moving to. All that can be found on the owner's site. And we're going to visit the owner's site here in just a second, but at this point, I want to jump over to the charts and show you guys what types of trades I'm looking for. What type of system am I basing these signals off of? So we're going to go ahead and start out with Apple. Let me go pull up Apple here on the screen. Now this approach, it's a little different. I mentioned earlier that the system does a phenomenal job at reacting to current price action and changes in price action very quickly. And the reason we're able to do this is because we're using range charts. Okay, if you look up here in the top left-hand corner, we're using a range chart of 5.32. We're not stuck using a fixed time interval. We're not looking at a daily chart or a 60-minute chart. Those charts are going to be locked into printing bars or candles based on a set amount of time, regardless of what price action is doing. That can lead to some pretty choppy, messy-looking charts at times. What I can do with a range chart, what this is going to do is it's going to print a bar every time I get a range of 5.32 on Apple. So what this does is it really smoothens out the price action. We see a lot of smooth moves on range charts. Now, some of you might be saying, okay, that looks very customized. Why 5.32? Well, the reason being, I come in once a month and I take a look at the monthly chart of Apple, and we take a calculation and we look at the range of the prior month. So at the end of August, I came in and I looked at the calculation, and my system is telling me to use a range of 5.32. So that's what we're using for the month of September. So we're able to adjust as we go throughout the year. If I go back to the beginning of 2012, if we just go back to January, look at the range, 3.94. Okay, notice how price action has really just exploded here throughout the year on Apple, and we're going to adjust accordingly. Because the market's moving great, we're going to go for larger profiles. If the market slows down here at some point on Apple, no problem. Once a month we come in and we adjust the range. That's the powerful part about this system. So back to our Apple range chart here. To take it a step further, notice here how the setups are automatically programmed into my calculator. I've done all the testing, I've customized the settings so that everything is printed on the chart beforehand. Right? What this allows me to do is focus on putting on the proper option strategies. When the system tells me to get in, I have my entry point here in this set of dots, I have my targets up here above, I have my stop down below. I know exactly what I'm doing before I even get into the trade. So that way I can focus on using the proper option strategy. Okay, if I were to open up an options chain, there's literally thousands of different options or combinations of options that we could put on to play this move to the upside. Okay, so by having this all defined for me, I can focus on selecting the proper strategy. So as you can see, going back in time, it's just, this system performs so well. I mean, we can go back in time, back into August, and you can see a whole series of winning trades. They're not all full winners. They don't always hit my full target. We have some partial winners in here. We had this winner back in early September. It was a partial win, and this is why I love the way the system reacts. If we look at the system in detail back on late August, early September, we got long. We moved up towards the target. And as we started to go into profit, as we started to approach the target, notice how my stop, shown by these red dots, notice how it started to move up. I'm reducing risk as I go. So it looked great at this point. Looks like I'm going to go up and hit my full target for a home run trade. But look how price action stalls out. It turns around pretty quickly. But look what happened with my stop. I'm moving my stop up this whole way. So worst case scenario, if price action does flip around, I'm out with a partial profit. And that's exactly what happened. I exited part of my position at the first target, so I locked in about a 33% return. And then I left the remainder on the table looking for that home run trade. So out of this position with a 30% return in just a matter of days without even hitting my full target, I love that. I think that's extremely powerful. Now I filtered out this short trade. It looks like we had a losing trade here, but that was not the case. I made some adjustments around these key levels on the chart back here, back in August and early September. So I was able to avoid that short trade, and then this move to the upside here over the past week has just been extremely powerful as well. And the system did a great job of identifying it. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at Priceline, symbol PCLN. Very similar to Apple. We're actually using a momentum chart, which is very similar to a range chart. Okay, they're just calculated a little bit differently. We're using a momentum chart of 7.76. Again, I'm checking that every month to find out what new setting I need to use. And I love using these settings because look at how it smooths out the price action. We see a lot of smooth movement here. All right, so on Priceline, going back here a couple of months, winning trade, partial winner, winning trade. We had a few losers in here. We had a couple of small losers in here, but we followed it up with 2 winners. Okay, so it's extremely powerful on Priceline. We're not just hand-picking trades, the best trades so far this year. I'm showing you recent price action. This trade on Priceline, I'm currently still in part of this trade. We got in back on the 12th of September. Everything's outlined for me, my entry point, my targets, my stop. Okay, I purchased some call options. We hit first target, I exited part of my position there, and I let the rest ride, trying to hit that full target, which was up at 650, and unfortunately, we got to within 70 cents of that full target here today, so most likely I'll be exiting the remainder of my position here this afternoon. But on this trade, we're in and out in just a matter of days. This position here, about an $800 winner on Priceline in just a matter of days. Just trading a single contract, that's pretty powerful. It's going to be about a 70% return for me. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at CME. This is a home run trade. Okay, this is a trade that happened back in the first week of September. Doesn't look like much of a move on the chart. Okay, it looks like a pretty small move. But look at how I played this position. I bought some September 55 calls, $123 per contract. So I don't know anybody in this room that can't afford to place that trade. Okay, we got out 24 hours later for a 176% return, $217 per contract. Doesn't sound like a ton, but we only paid $120 for it. Most of us are going to be able to put on multiple contracts. You could put on 2, 3, 4 contracts and see a really nice return in 24 hours. Okay, and I'm not hand-picking these trades. Look at how many winning trades CME has going back in time. Okay, we have a lot of winning trades shown on this chart. And it might look like we're in a losing trade currently. I actually avoided this trade as well because this entry point was at 59.77. I adjusted my entry up to above the 60 level. I wanted to work around that key level, that round number. And notice where price action stalled out right at that 60 level. So it was a good adjustment. At this point, it's saving me a losing trade. This trade is still valid, so if it recovers and moves back up to hit my entry point, I will take it at that point in time. But in this case, it looks like we're going to avoid a losing trade on CME. Now, again, some of you might be looking at this and saying, okay, Mike, you're just kind of picking out the winning trades. What type of performance do you see? I mean, do you have losers? Absolutely. That's just part of trading. But let me show you a performance report going back to the first of the year. And what you're looking at here is some of the names on my watch list. I've just recently added a few additional ones, but for the most part, these are the names that I have been trading here for most of 2012. Look at these win rates. 80% on Apple, 90% on XLE, which is an energy ETF, almost 88% on Google. Okay, now because I say we're winning 80% of the time on Apple, those are not all full winning trades. We're not having home run trades on all of those positions. But we're seeing those 30 to 50% winners on the partial wins. So when you combine an 80% win rate with the fact that we're seeing those 50% returns, I think you can start to do the math in your head on how you can make some great money trading these products. Now, some of these plans are more active than others. You can see that Apple, we're getting multiple setups typically each week. We've been very active on Apple, but on Google, we've only had 16 trades the whole year. And that's by design. Some of these plans are designed to act a little slower, take a little bit more time for us to get into those positions. Okay, so absolutely great performance. I know historical performance does not guarantee future results, but the power of this is if we've been trading these for an extended period of time. I have been trading these with my live funds now for 5-6 months, trying to make sure to put them through the fire, make sure they can hold up in a variety of different market conditions. And if you've been involved with the markets over the summer months, it's been extremely slow. In fact, it's been a pretty slow year altogether. Very low volume price action. But as you can see, it doesn't affect the system. The system just continues to perform really, really well. All right, so just great trading there with the Netpix systems. So I'm going to head back to the presentation at this point. And actually, I want to head over to the owner's website because what else do you get with the advisory service? And this is going to be your home base. Okay, this is where you're going to be able to log in on a daily basis and get all the information that's critical to take these trades as they come. You can see all these tabs at the top of the screen. We have a spot here for trade alerts. When I send out an alert during the day, you'll be able to log into the website, get all the further details of the trade, why I took the trade, where the stop and targets are at. And then at the end of the day, we'll go ahead and post a daily recap, just summarizing what the market did that day, what I'm looking for the following day. If we have any setups that are coming on the chart, we'll go ahead and type them out, what we're looking to do the next day. And then if there's a certain situation that I want to point out in the charts, if I want to walk you through an example, I'll post a quick video from time to time. These aren't hour-long videos. These are quick 5 to 10 minute videos that you can take a look at, start to formulate a plan for the next trading session. We'll also have position sheets. And what I've done with the position sheets, I've split this up basically into 2 different approaches. Okay, I realize that we have people in here with different account sizes, different amounts of funds available to trade with. So what I did is I split this up into 2 different approaches. If you've got a smaller account size, you might be newer to trading, you can trade these signals with a single contract. And if I click on this, you're going to be able to see the spreadsheet pop up where you're going to be able to track this on an ongoing basis. You can track all the open positions. What date we got in, what symbol are we trading, what option are we trading, what profit and loss do we have. As we move into profit, if I move the stop up, I'll document it on here so you can log it at any point during the day and get reference to all the details of the trades that we're in. I'll also make note of any changes that I make, so on a daily basis you can get in there and track the changes that I made. Now, I also realize that I have experienced traders in here, traders with larger sums of money that they can work with. Well, you can take these setups with multiple contracts, and we're going to track it that way as well. What that allows us to do is to scale out of a position. Once we hit that first target, we can exit part of your position and let the rest ride, trying to capture the home run trade. So I'm going to track it a couple of different ways. Now, some of you might be asking, well, does this mean that trade setups are different depending on the approach? And that is not the case. The trade setups are exactly the same, regardless of the size of the position that you put on. I'm just going to track the overall results in 2 different ways. I'm also going to have the blog going. This is where I'm going to be able to post throughout the week, post my different thoughts on the market. If I have a specific topic come up as in my interaction with certain traders, I'll go ahead and post an article or a video. For example, this one I talked about, how do you determine position sizing? We'll be able to do that. We all know how active the news has been over the past year. We've had the Facebook IPO. We've had another round of quantitative easing announced last week by the Fed. We have the fall elections coming up. We have a lot of factors coming into play that can influence how we're trading. So I'll be able to post information on this blog for how I think certain events are going to affect our trading. And then we'll also have a results page. Again, depending on the approach that you use, you'll be able to click on that link and it'll take you to the spreadsheet that'll track the overall performance throughout the advisory service. So if we get a month and a half in, you want to know where we stand as far as profit and loss go, you can take a look and reference this page. So it's a pretty powerful owner site. A lot of information there, a lot of useful information that you can use to further your options knowledge, to further your trading knowledge. So it's a pretty cool resource to have available to you. Okay, so what do you get? We've already talked about a lot here. What do you get with the Options Live Advisory service? Well, you're going to get around 10 trade signals every month. These signals are going to be taken in live market conditions. You're going to have exact entry points, targets, and stops outlined for you. Those signals will be sent by email, Twitter, and text message. Again, you'll also have access to the owner's site. So if you miss anything, if you have further questions, you can always reference that owner's site for all of the details. You're also going to have access to a monthly Q&A call with myself. Okay, we'll discuss different hot topics. If we have a trade that we just completed that I want to walk through, if I received questions on it, we can go ahead and cover that. If you have questions on, if you want me to look at any other stocks, it's a perfect opportunity to ask in this environment. Now, these are not going to be 3-hour calls on Saturday mornings. I don't want you to feel like you're going to be obligated to get into those calls and tie up part of your day. These are going to be short calls. It's all going to be dependent on how many questions come in, but it's going to be a useful tool for those of you that you want to take your trading to the next level. You don't just want to take my signals as they come. You want to take those signals and learn from them, so eventually you can take control of your own trading. And then on top of everything I just got done talking about, you will have access to an auto trade service with one of our preferred brokers, which is TradeMonster. If you're one of those people that say, okay, Mike, this sounds great. I want to take the calls, but I'm too busy. I don't think I can get to all of the setups as they come. Well, you can set up an account with TradeMonster. Well, they will execute all the trades for you according to my direction. So it's really a hands-off approach for you, a very slick way for those of you that are interested in the auto trade service. So at this point, what does it cost? What are you in for when you purchase this system? Well, we talked about charging $5,000 for the entire year. Okay, I already showed you some results when we're winning 80% of the time and we're seeing 50% returns on the options. You can see how much profit is to be made there. What I wanted to do, because I know how difficult it is as a retail trader where your funds are limited, I wanted to keep the cost down. Okay, I wanted to keep it at a price point where you can get in, make some profits right off the bat. You can still have a lot of money available for your trading. So we decided to offer for the first 25 people $797 for 3 months. Okay, and I'm even going to take it a step further. I'm going to take all the risk off the table for you. Okay, that $797 price might not work for some of you. Well, I'm going to take it a step further. Okay, I'm going to offer you a triple your investment guarantee. I'm taking all the pressure on myself. Okay, if we don't triple your $797 investment after the first 3 months, we'll refund your purchase price, no questions asked. Now, there's one requirement here. I am going to require you to take at least half the number of trades we call. I can't have you come in at the end of the 3 months and say, Mike, I took 2 trades during the 3 months and I didn't triple my investment. I want my money back. Well, that's not fair to me. So in order to keep it fair for both sides, all I'm going to ask is that you take half the number of trades that we call. Okay? So really, if you're not making money, I'm not making money. And that's the best position to be in. We all win at that point. Okay, these are all trades that I'm taking with my own personal funds. Okay, I have to pay my bills. I have to make money. So I'm taking all the pressure. I'm putting in all the hard lifting to make sure we are trading profitable strategies. So how do you sign up? Well, go ahead and visit this link on the screen. You cannot click on this link. You will need to type it into your browser, and that is www.netpix.com/getoptions. You can go ahead and sign up there. You'll also have access to the money back guarantee. Absolutely, we will be limiting this release. I can't take on 200 people at once. I just can't support everybody at one time. And I want to make sure that when I send out a trade alert, we're not having 200 people trying to get into this trade at one time. I want to make sure everybody's getting good prices, getting good fills. Now, if you have any questions, okay, if you want to ask me and kind of grill me with some questions before you commit to purchasing, not a problem. Either type them into the text at this point. You can always give us a call using the numbers on the screen. You can always send us an email as well, and I'll be getting back to you as soon as I can to answer any questions. So again, the link at the bottom, netpix.com/get options. $7.97 for 3 months. I think that's just an amazing deal. I already walked you through the trade on Priceline. We made $800 for a single contract in 6 days. In a week's time, we paid for 3 months of the service. So very powerful results as a part of the Options Live Advisory service. So hopefully I've piqued your interest at this point. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you get them in. I'm going to throw it back to Brian, and we'll start to work through the questions as they came in throughout my talking.
All right, thanks, Mike. Very informative, and hopefully you'll take advantage of this service that he's going to be offering. A lot of questions have come in. Let me kind of go down through and pick out some of the ones that would benefit the group. You covered ETFs, but there was a question on whether or not you're going to use ETFs in the process. That was from Elaine. Let's see here. Question from Hardy asking, have you considered binary options?
That's a good question. I actually have. In fact, in the last number of months, I've looked into them. I'm not a big fan of them. Reason being, you remember when I talked earlier about when I was trading around earnings releases, when I put on those trades, it was basically hit or miss. I either won big or I lost big. That's really true of binary options to some extent. It's either you win big or you lose big. There's really, once you're in a trade, you can't really make any adjustments. And I don't like that. I like to be in the traditional weekly or monthly options so I can make adjustments when necessary. So at this point in time, I am not doing anything with binary options. I'm not saying you can't be profitable with them, but we will not be using them during the service.
Myron is asking, he wants to be in the full auto trade with this service through Trade Monster. Is that possible? So you want to answer that, Mike?
Yep, absolutely not a problem. It's a very simple sign-up process. If you've already have an account with them, it's just filling out some additional paperwork. If you need to open up an account with them, again, it's really a pretty simple process. Just fill out some paperwork, let them know that you want to sign up for an auto trade service, and they will be able to take care of you.
Okay, and kind of along that same line, Mark is asking, is the auto trader included in the fee?
It is. There's no additional charge for that, other than the commissions, of course. I mean, the commissions that Trade Monster is going to charge, they're just their standard commission rates, so you will need to pay that. But on our side, there is no additional fee for the auto trade service.
Okay. H. Stewart is asking if you use margin in your options trading.
I personally do. Again, it all depends on how you want to set up your trading. The great part about options is our risk is limited to whatever price that we paid for the option. Okay, so if we get into an option, the option is going to cost $1,000. That's our maximum risk on the position. So we're in a very defined risk position right off the bat. So I think that's a great way to trade. But hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, there's a number of questions in this regard, both for the auto trade and then for personal trading. So, Mike, what account size do you recommend for an individual that wants to get involved in the service?
Well, what I've tried to do here is I've tried to create our watch list of the products that we're going to trade with all traders in mind. If it were up to me, I would trade all the high flyers all the time, Apple and Google and Amazon and whatnot. But I realize that there are people with smaller account sizes, so we will be trading some products that have very manageable options. For example, that CME trade that I talked about, we're in for around $100. So with that in mind, a lot of those lower price stocks, you can get in with, a $5,000 account. With some of the more expensive options, can you get into a position where we're paying $1,000 for an option with a $5,000 account? You can, but you just need to understand you're taking an extreme amount of risk there on that trade. So I would say as a baseline, most brokers require a $5,000 account just to open an account with them. So I'm going to say that's probably the minimum. In order to trade multiple contracts, I'd rather see you up towards that $10,000 to $15,000 level.
Okay, a question being asked about Options Express, whether or not we can auto trade with them. I believe, Mike, the answer is no to that. It has to be through Trade Monster, correct?
Correct. The only one that you can auto trade with at this point is Trade Monster. I would love to add another option. To be honest, I love trading with Thinkorswim. So I think that they're a great option as well. We just are not able to auto trade with them at this point. I would love to get that set up, but currently the only option for auto trade is with Trade Monster.
Okay. Rob asking a question about can auto trade be done in a joint account? Yeah, there's no restriction on that. It can be an individual or it can be a joint account with your spouse. Not a problem there. Daniel's asking, how will we know if we're one of the first 25? Well, if you go to place the order and you can't, then that'll be a good indication that the order page has been turned off. So if you got through the process and signed up, you're in on the 25. Let's see, just reading a few other questions, a lot of them coming in here. If I miss your question for some reason, just repost it, and a lot of questions coming in. Sam asking a really good question here, Mike. He's asking, how time sensitive are the trade calls? Do we have to be monitoring emails all day long?
That is a great question, and let me try to tackle it a few different ways. Number one, they are going to be time sensitive in the fact that when the market starts to move quickly, we might get into a trade quickly. And what I'm trying to do with this service is that's why I'm trying to utilize the nightly updates. Because if I get a setup that's coming on the chart, but it hasn't triggered in that day, I'm going to put that alert out in the nightly update. We'll talk about, hey, I'm looking at this trade, setting up for tomorrow's session. This is where I'm looking to get in. This is the option that I'm looking at. So I can give you a heads up. For those of you that are able to place conditional orders, you could go ahead and place that conditional order right away based on that information. However, there will be times where trades will set up intraday. Okay, so if the market's moving quickly and the trade sets up, that alert's going to have to go out intraday. All right. Now, in most cases, once I get a setup on the chart, even if it triggers in the same day, I typically have at least a few hours, to get my trade in. So you're not going to have too much of an issue as long as you can check your email or have access to Twitter throughout the day. If you can check it, a couple times a day, you're not going to have a problem getting those trades in. And if it is a problem, the auto trade is a great feature.
Okay, Mike, I've just been informed that we are halfway through the 25 maximum. So if you're interested in the service, go ahead and get signed up right now. Again, we've got 12 seats left at this point. So we'll go on here just a little bit longer, answering a few more questions. A lot of good ones coming in here. Ahmed is asking, can an IRA be traded? And if so, how? And I'll answer that one. Yes, you can trade an IRA. There is one additional step that is necessary in that process. And to trade options or futures, you do need to involve a trust company. I've personally done this, and a good company that I can recommend is Entrust. They are regional, so you'll have to find where they are in your region. I'm in the Northeast, and I know they have different offices throughout the United States. But again, you'll need to use a trust company, and it's a little bit of a process to get that set up. Longer, obviously, than just simply setting up a broker account. But what happens is they set up a broker account on your behalf, and then that way you can set up with pretty much any broker that you desire. It's a really good way to trade your IRA funds. Let's see, there have been a number of questions about PTU, Premier Trader University, and I'll just tell you right now that the system you're looking at is Premier Trader University that Mike has on his charts, and we have a few members from our university. And so the question is Mike's service included in PTU? And the answer is no. This is a separate service. So I want to be clear there. And so Leonard asking, can I get the auto trade with PTU? If you want to get the auto trade, you just simply sign up today, Leonard, with the service.
And Brian, let me just build on that a little bit. Yes, I am using the PTU systems. Keep in mind that if you have access to PTU, these are not just the default plans out of the box. There's a lot of work that has gone into customize these trade plans. So even though I was flipping through the charts showing different products, even though the charts looked very similar, there's a lot of money management rules and trade management rules built into the calculator. So that's what you're going to be able to take advantage of. And then on top of that, I've actually worked with a few traders here recently that are finding difficulty picking the right options. Okay, just because a trade moves in your direction doesn't mean you're going to be profitable. If you choose the wrong option, you know, you're not going to see the profit that you're anticipating, even if you hit a winning trade. So the advantage of this service is you're going to be able to get in and learn how I choose the options, the method to my madness, and be able to benefit that way.
Ron Hicks, following up with the trust company comment that I made, he's saying that he uses TD Ameritrade, has an IRA account, and he didn't see a restriction using a trust company. Yeah, my point there, Ron, is if you have already in existence an IRA account and you want to set up with another broker, okay, in that scenario, you have to use a trust company. If, however, you have set up from the very beginning with a company like Ameritrade, you can for sure trade those kind of instruments in that account. So again, my comment was more to someone that has an existing IRA that wants to move those or some of those funds to a situation where they have a little more control. A lot of questions coming in about Canadian residents and whether or not this can be used for you in Canada. And the answer is I don't 100% know. You're going to need to check with the broker in that case to see if they have any issues. Unfortunately, I cannot answer that question for them. So check that out with Trade Monster and see if your area is okay to open an account. A lot of trust company comments coming in. So we must have a lot of people with IRAs. Again, the trust company that I recommended was ntrust.com. Just Google them on the web and you'll find regional locations. And then Brian Lee saying also sometimes a trust company is called a custodian. Yeah, that's true. Richard asking, what % of an account will you typically recommend in a single trade? I think what you're asking there, Richard, is what's the risk per trade? So, Mike, why don't you address that?
We get this question all the time, and there's really no perfect answer that can be applied to everybody. It really depends on your overall situation. And what I mean by that is your options account, is that your complete portfolio? Is it just a portion of your portfolio? The way I have mine set up is my options account, that is just a portion of my overall portfolio. So I'm able to take a little additional risk knowing that my options trading is only a part of what I do overall. If you're just going to have a single account and all you're going to do is trade options, that's where we're going to take a little bit different approach with the risk. That's where we don't want to be 100% invested at any one time. So that's why if I go back to the owner's site on the blog, I talked about how I posted a video on position sizing, and that's exactly why I do so. I walk through a couple of different scenarios depending on your situation, depending on your overall portfolio size. And for those of you that are interested, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to work with you directly on an individual basis just to kind of give you a recommendation on that. But it really just depends on your overall situation.
Okay, again, for those asking the trust question, I did send out a link for Entrust. It's theentrustgroup.com. And again, I'm not endorsing them. I would encourage you, if you're going to seek out a trust company, to do your own research. It is a company that I have used and some of the other associates here at Netpix have used. Joe's asking, Mike, do you trade naked options and puts or calls?
In this service, what we're looking to do is we're looking to trade directionally, okay, and we're looking to buy individual calls and puts. Okay, we're not going to sell naked calls or naked puts. That's not a strategy for this service. What I'm trying to do is take advantage of the performance that the PTU systems are giving me. So therefore, I'm trying to use very simple strategies that we can see very powerful returns. Now, I'm assuming your question is probably leading into, do I use any other different types of advanced strategies. And while I do in another portion of my trading, is there a time and place to trade condors and butterflies and calendars and stuff like that? Yes, there absolutely is. But that's not a part of this service. We're really trying to zero in on the directional strategy. So in most cases, we'll be trading individual calls and puts on the long side, but then there will be certain cases where we'll trade vertical spreads as well.
Okay, Mike, I was just informed from Corey that we are at 21. So there's about 4 seats left. So if you are interested in joining today, I would highly encourage you to fill out the page and get signed up. So we're very close to being maxed out.
And Brian, let me add one thing to that. I didn't mention this in the presentation, and I should have. We are heading into a time of the year that is historically my favorite time of year to trade. We're coming out of a slow summertime. Price action will pick up as traders return and you get back into the markets. We have an election coming up this fall. We have a lot of things setting up perfectly for us this fall. So it's just a great time to get involved in the markets. And I would just encourage you all, if you're still on the fence, it's my favorite time of year to trade. So hopefully that helps you out.
Terry asking a question here. Is this service considered a subscription on PayPal? It is. Stan's asking the question, Mike, what will the cost be after the first 3 months if you get into the program now?
It will continue to charge $7.97 every 3 months after the initial phase is over with. Now, you'll be locked in at that number. I can't guarantee you that it's going to stay at that level going forward. The next time we release it, we may offer it at a different price point. So as long as you sign up today at $7.97 for the 3 months, you'll be locked in at that price.
H. Stewart is asking about spread trades, Mike. I know you mentioned that in the presentation.
I did. We will, if you're talking about whether we're going to take different spread combinations like vertical spreads or condors or butterflies, yes, we will at certain times. But in most cases, we're just going to be trading the individual calls and puts.
Mark is asking, is this a new service or has this been going on for a while? I know, Mike, you've been trading this for about 5 months. Is that correct?
It is. We have released an advisory service in the past, but it was a completely different system. What I've done here is I've basically redesigned the system. It's a totally new set of indicators, new system for giving me the setups. I have been trading it for 5 months or so with my live funds. I have all these trade plans tested back to the beginning of the year, and I showed you that performance in the presentation. The way the signals are delivered are a little bit different. I'm trying to make sure we get those delivered in a timely fashion so you can get those quickly, get the trades in accordingly. So it really is, a lot of the format is going to be similar, but it really is a brand new way of using the advisory service.
Okay, we're coming to the end of the questions. If I've missed any, go ahead and get those in. Let me just read back through here, make sure I haven't missed anything. But again, if I've missed your question, I don't intend to. Myron asking a question here, Mike. What day do we kick off? How soon will it be able to, take trades?
We will have a nightly update on the owner's site here tonight, and we are willing to take trades as soon as tomorrow should anything set up. I can't guarantee that anything's going to set up, but we are starting immediately. We're going to hit the ground running.
And Claude is asking, will you really send alerts via SMS?
The way that is going to be set up, you will have to have a Twitter account for that. Basically, what I will do is send out a tweet with the alert, and you can have those tweets text message to your phone. So that's going to be the requirement there to have the alerts texted to you. It's a pretty slick way for those of you that do have access to a smartphone. It's a great way to get to the alerts delivered.
Chris is asking a question here. Do you favor ITM or ATM or OTM options?
Well, it's a great question, and it really depends on the situation. Number one, I do not like out-of-the-money options unless they are part of a more advanced strategy like a vertical spread. I really prefer in-the-money options, but it really depends on the situation. There's times where I will trade at-the-money options as well. It all depends on the current market conditions and the overall pricing of the options.
Ron Hicks, one of our members, is asking, do you get in sync with trades?
Yes, I definitely will, just depending on the situation. I do have rules in place for myself. As long as the trade hasn't moved too far away from my entry point, I will definitely look to get in sync. In most cases, if I miss a trade initially, there's going to be a chance to get in on a pullback. There will be trades, though, that take off without me, and there's not a chance to get in. That'll definitely happen as well. But in most cases, if we don't get the trade initially, we're able to get in on a pullback.
H. Stewart asking, will you give us a list of the stock ETFs you are trading?
Yeah, once you join, you're basically going to have access to all of the names that I am going to be trading. I will be doing those nightly updates where you're going to be able, when I do those videos, you're going to be able to get a glimpse of all the stocks that I will be trading. That might change from time to time. I just recently added some new names to the list, so I'm not going to say the list won't ever change, but right now I have it really dialed into a select few that I really enjoy trading, and you'll definitely have access to that.
Ron Hicks asking, do you trade different asset classes, S&P 500 sectors, those kind of classes?
Yeah, we have a pretty broad list of products. Basically, what I'm looking for is I'm just looking for products that are very liquid. If it's an actively traded product with a lot of liquidity, it's fair game. So yes, definitely.
Okay, that is it on the questions. If you have any further questions, go ahead and contact us at info@netpix.com, or you can feel free to give us a call, and we would be happy to speak with you. So, Mike, I want to thank you for being on the webinar today, and it was really informative. You've got a great offering, and congrats to those individuals that have signed up today and will be taking advantage of the options service. Mike, do you have any closing comments before we end today?
Sure thing. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And again, congratulations to everybody that signed up. I really look forward to working with you all. Again, it's a great time of year to trade. I really think we're going to book some phenomenal profits here over the next 3 months. So look forward to working with all of you. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.